In my last video, we talked about how to go from this
to this. And now we're going to talk about going to this. We're going to learn how to use desk lamps for better skin tones and depth in the image. How did songs from long ago come up? What was the context? I'm Billy Davis. I'm a lawyer who spent years defending clients in business and industry from lawsuits. And in that time, I've never met anybody who's enjoyed being sued, which is why I teach employees in management the skills necessary to mitigate their litigation risk. I use a lot of technology in my practice, and I've been making these videos in order to share what I've learned with everyone. This is the second video in a three-part series to help you improve your appearance on video conference calls. In my last video, I covered some tips on how to improve your appearance by paying attention to your camera position and by adjusting lighting from the windows. In this video, we're going to cover some advanced lighting techniques using just simple desk lamps. I'll show you how to use those lamps to make your next video appearance really pop. So let's get started. Now you might wonder, hey Billy, what's wrong with my existing lights? Well, if they're overhead lights, they might be lighting you in an unflattering way.
For example, you see how the shadows fall here? They're very unflattering. You can tell the light is above me. And also, if your overhead lights are fluorescent or LEDs, they might be producing some very cool light that is not flattering. When I say cool, I'm referring to the color temperature of the lights.
A very simple definition of color temperature is the amount of red or blue tint in white light. White light that contains more red tones is referred to as warm light. White light that contains more blue tones is referred to as cool light. Cool lights are typically found in office buildings and produce a more alert feeling. Warm lights are typically found in homes and produce a more warm or cozy feeling. Warm lights are more likely to make your video presence look more warm and inviting. So if that's what you're going for, next time you're buying bulbs, make sure you buy some warm lights. When you go to the store to buy bulbs, they'll typically have a description of the color temperature on the side of the packaging. And if you happen to own LED lights, a lot of those lights are actually adjustable throughout a color temperature range. Another question I've heard from folks is, well, what if I have one of those ring lights that I put around my camera to light myself? Well, direct lighting on your face can really make the image look flat and mute your skin tones. Plus, it can be really hard to stare directly into a bright light. Remember, you want to keep your eye contact with the people that you're speaking to in the room. So today I'm going to show you a lighting setup with desk lamps to produce a flattering effect that will really improve your appearance on your next video conference call. If you watched my first video, and you should, you might remember that I used three separate cameras. The first was the built-in camera on my laptop. The second was a Logitech StreamCam, which is a higher-end webcam. I also used my Canon 90D DSLR camera, which is a typical camera you might use to take pictures of your kids playing soccer or vacation pictures. It turns out you can plug it directly into your laptop with an HDMI cable. Once you plug it in, the computer uses it as if it's a webcam. I'm going to show you how this lighting setup will work with each of those cameras so that you'll have an idea of just how valuable it can be.
Here are some side-by-sides. This is my built-in laptop camera. On the left is natural lighting. On the right is using desk lamps. Here's the Logitech StreamCam. Again, on the left is using natural light from the window. On the right, we're using the desk lamps. And finally, the Canon 90D. On the left, natural light from the window. On the right, the desk lamps.
Before we talk about using desk lamps and where to place them, let's talk about the first thing we need to take a look at in the room, whether it's your office or at home, and that's ambient light. Ambient light is the sunlight that's coming into the room through the windows. In video productions, the professionals involved go to great lengths to control the light. Most of the television shows that you watch or pictures that you see in magazines are taken in special rooms under very controlled lighting conditions. Many times a studio blocks out all external light so that they can be very precise about where they place the lights, how bright the lights are, what the color temperature is, because it plays such a big role in making the video look good. Ambient light can introduce problems in your video because that light is variable. It can change from moment to moment. For example, a cloud could move in front of the sun and suddenly the picture gets dark.
Or the sun could suddenly get bright. Or if you must sit with your back toward a window, it can make you look really washed out and shadowed.
If you have shades, use them to regulate the amount of external light coming into the room. Be careful if you have blinds though. If you have blinds and you use them on a very sunny day, sometimes they can produce a series of horizontal shadows which do not look very flattering on a video call. Remember also, as I said in my first video, if the light coming through your window on a very sunny day is very direct and very blinding, you can hang a sheet over the window which will create a more diffuse effect for the lights. Diffuse lighting will always make you look better on video. One thing you could do is buy one of these inexpensive diffuser discs online. If you could imagine this is the sun, you can see when you hang this disc over your window, it'll make the light nice and diffuse. If you're going to use the lamp setup I'm recommending, you can consider removing all sunlight from the room. Blackout shades such as these are available online, and when you hang them over your window, they'll block out all light. That way you can have maximum control over the lighting in the room where you're going to be conducting your video conference calls. You should have a desk lamp or two lying around your home or office. So to understand how to properly position our desk lamps for maximum effect, I want to tell you about how video professionals light scenes. You won't need any studio gear to take advantage of this advice. You can accomplish it with your own desk lamp. A typical studio lighting setup is what's known as a three-point lighting setup. That means it involves 3 lights. The purpose of the 3-point lighting setup is to provide depth to the image. Video, of course, is a 2D medium, but by using the correct lighting, you can really improve the apparent depth in the image, and that really makes your videos pop. After you learn about this setup, I promise you're going to start noticing it most places that you look. When you watch your favorite television show, when you look through a magazine of photographs, you're going to notice how these scenes are lit, and you'll recognize that's the 3-point lighting system. The first light in the setup is known as the key light. The key light is the brightest light. It's typically placed at a 45-degree angle from the subject, just in front of the subject. My key light is right here. The purpose of the key light is to illuminate 1/2 of the subject. Now, the reason for illuminating half of the subject is that you want to create some soft shadows on the other half of the subject. It's those shadows that allow the viewer to see depth in the image. If the light were to be directly in front of the subject, for example, if I put a light directly behind my camera, then there would be no shadowing on my face, and the image would look flat. For the key light, I'm going to use this lamp at full power with a 100-watt bulb, and I'm going to place it at an angle about between 45 and 90 degrees in front of me, and let's plug that in. This will be our key light. The next light in the series is known as the fill light. The fill light is slightly dimmer than the key light, but again is placed 45 degrees away from the subject on the other side of the subject just in front. My fill lights are right here. The purpose of the fill light is to prevent the shadows from being too harsh on one side of the face. Industry professionals refer to that as shadow roll-off. All that means is the transition of shadow from one side of an image to the next. What you want to look for is a smooth transition of shadow. Now I'm going to take this lamp that I put a 60-watt bulb in, I'm going to place it on the other side of the table at an equal angle as the key light on this side. And when I turn it on, this is going to act as a fill light. It's not quite as bright, so it'll give some nice shadows on my face with some nice shadow roll-off, and it'll look like a pretty deep image. Now, if you have only one desk light, you can buy one of these inexpensive light reflectors. You know, you've probably seen photographers using them around town sometimes. You can see it has a nice silver background, and you can use this to reflect light. So you put your key light 45 degrees in front of you, this reflector on the other side, and it will catch light off the key light and bounce it back onto the subject, lighting you appropriately. I have a light bouncer over here, and most of the light is on this side of me, so I'm going to pull the bouncer into the shot, and you'll see how it's going to change the illumination. I'm going to try and do my best here to not get it into the shot, but there we go. And that's going to provide, bounce some of the light off back into my face and illuminate the shot. The final light in the 3-point lighting system is known as a backlight, or sometimes called a hair light, because it's typically used to illuminate the edges of the hair of the subject and the shoulder of the subject on one side. And the reason for that is because it differentiates the subject from the background. Again, adds layers of depth to the image. The backlight is typically placed behind the subject, usually above the subject, shining light onto the back of the subject. It can be either in the shot or it can be out of the shot. In my case, my hair light is located outside of the shot. Now I'm going to take this final smaller light that I put a 100-watt bulb in, and this is going to be my hair light or backlight. I'm going to set it off to the side of me, just outside of the shot, on a little ladder that I placed next to me, so you can't see it in the shot here. And when I turn it on, it's going to give just a little bit of highlight and separation to my shoulder and the side of my face here, so that I pop out from the background just a little bit more. That's a 3-point lighting setup. So that's quite a change, isn't it? And I promise you can do this in your home or home office. That's a wrap for this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. I hope you've learned something that'll help you with whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. If you have any questions about any of this, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave a comment below. I love to read the comments, and I'll be sure and respond to you. Also, if you'll click the subscribe button, which I think is right over there, you'll be notified when I release new videos. Be sure to tune in next week for my last video in this particular series where I cover the use of green screens to make some really cool presentations. Until next time, stay happy, my friends.